Hey guys, Jackie here. Wanted to do a video about sweeteners and some healthy alternatives that we can choose to add into our diet so that we can have some healthier options. So, why are we talking about sugar? Sugar is a big problem in our world today. A lot of people, I think statistically, like, 100 years ago or something, the average person was getting like a teaspoon of sugar per day in their everyday diet. Not that they were eating it every single day, but that was the average that they calculated. And today, I think the average is I can't remember all the statistics exactly, but it's like 40 to 50 teaspoons per day. Why that's a problem is because our bodies are not meant to process that much sugar. And there's lots of cascading effects that happen when we overindulge in the sugar. And let's just talk about the quality of our sugar for a minute in our world today. There's lots of sugars that are not great for us because of what our society has done to the sugars. So, if you're using primarily like white sugar, just white, the normal typical white sugar that you can buy at the grocery store, um, that's been, not only has it been highly processed and refined, but it's actually GMO sugar, which, if you don't know what GMO is, it's genetically modified sugar. Um, and there's a lot of reasons why we should be avoiding GMO foods in our diets because basically our body doesn't know how to register that food as real food. Um, Another version of GMO food is corn syrup. And so I remember learning about high fructose corn syrup years ago and realizing, oh, that's something I should avoid. So I started reading labels and started trying to avoid the foods with the high fructose corn syrup in it. And then I think one Thanksgiving, I was asked to make a pecan pie, and I had never made pecan pie before. I had always eaten them, I just had never made them before. And so as I was looking up the ingredients for pecan pie, I realized, pecan pie is asking for corn syrup in the recipe. Not you have to make it with corn syrup every single time, but I thought that was interesting. Um, and whether it's, if I remember correctly, the only difference between corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup is the level of processing. So they've both been really processed. And basically, what happens is our government has decided to subsidize farmers that grow wheat and corn and soy specifically. So those three crops have been highly subsidized by our U.S. government. Um, and basically, what these like there's companies that take the wheat and the corn and the soy and they turn them into other products that are highly processed that are really bad for us because these companies can make a lot of money. The profit margin is much higher on these products, and so when they take the corn, they extract all the sweetness from the corn and then they process it, and that's what we get with corn syrup. And then high fructose corn syrup has been processed even further, if I remember correctly. And so I was a little bit shocked that normal pecan pie called for corn syrup, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I found that really interesting. Um, anyway, but I wanted to talk to you about 5 sweeteners that are just really altogether pretty healthy alternatives to the other sugar forms that we have access to. Um, and again, read your labels. Make sure that the foods that you're eating have real food in them. So even the food that's on the label that says sugar, that's the white, refined, the GMO processed sugar. So try to avoid that as much as you can. So the number one sweetener that I use is raw honey, and if it can be locally sourced, that's even better. Um, Honey is actually, I mean, it has sugar in it, but it's a food. Like you could survive off of honey, but you can't survive off of sugar. Like if you had those two things in front of you and nothing else to eat, honey would sustain life and sugar does not sustain life, which I think is really fascinating. Plus, honey has a lot of amino acids and other vitamins and minerals and things in it. Plus, it helps with, like if the honey is is from your local area, then it can help with allergies because as the bees go around collecting all the pollen from all the plants, then um, the antibodies to the what am I saying? The antibodies or the histamines. Oh no, the honey has the antihistamines in it that would help calm your body down from the histamines that are released from allergy time when the plants release all of their pollen, and so helps with allergies. So it's a really great sweetener. Um, if you use, like, generally rule of thumb is 1 to 2 tablespoons per day is the max. So we need to take all of these sweeteners with a grain of salt and not eat a ton of it. So just watch it. It's all done with moderation. And if you are watching your diabetes and your sugar levels and sugar intakes, then honey is maybe not one of the better forms for you, just because of its high glycemic index level. But it's still a wonderful, wonderful sweetener. Um, the next one is stevia. Stevia actually comes from a plant. It's an herb, and it comes from the leafy part of the plant. It's a 0 calorie, um, zero sugar sweetener, which is really amazing. There's lots of different companies out there. There's a liquid form of the stevia that comes with a little dropper in it. That's a really great form. Or if you buy like just the actual green, the dried up stevia leaf that's been pulverized into a powder form, that's a really great way to use stevia as well. Um, Another form of natural sweetener are dates or raisins or any of those dried fruits. So dates are really great because it is a real whole food and they are very sweet, and so they're great for blending up into things or adding them into, if you're making a pecan pie, you can blend them up and use it and for that kind of a thing. So each one of these sweeteners has a different purpose and different reason to use them. So you just have to learn how to use them in different ways. I love dates in smoothies. That's primarily what I use them for. Um, and if I remember correctly, dates have a lot of potassium and a lot of other vitamins and minerals as well because it is a whole food. So there you go. They're great. Another form of sweetener that I love is maple syrup, and it needs to be pure maple syrup, like grade B, dark maple syrup if you're going to buy it at the store, organic if you can. I'm not talking about the maple syrup that, like the big bottles in the plastic jars that cost like $2 that you put on pancakes and waffles and stuff. You can put the real maple syrup on pancakes and waffles as well, but it's a lot more expensive than just $2 for a bottle. That other stuff it has a lot of other chemicals and additives and high fructose corn syrup in it for the most part. That's mostly what makes up the cheaper kind of syrup. I'm talking about really high quality grade B, specifically maple syrup, which basically it is the pure maple syrup that's been extracted from a tree and it's been boiled down and reduced. So it's a much more concentrated form of sweetener than the syrup that comes out of the tree directly. So that's great. You also need to use that with sparingly because you can go overboard with any of these sweeteners. So there's that. And then the last one is organic coconut sugar. And this one, for me, if I need a substitute for like the white sugar, if you're baking or something like that, then and you need a substitute for that type of sugar, like that granulated sugar, then coconut sugar is a great solution because just like coconut water and coconut anythings have a lot of the electrolytes like potassium and I can't think, magnesium and all that good stuff for us. That's also found in the sugar. But the benefit of the coconut sugar is that it's about half of the glycemic index score as normal sugar sweeteners, which is really great. So if you're watching your sugar intake levels, then coconut sugar is going to be great for you, as well as the stevia. And then you could mix it up with the dates and raisins and those kinds of things and use honey very sparingly. So, honey, not honey, yeah, sweeteners are a fun thing to learn about, and there's lots of great recipes online if you are looking for recipes on how to use those types of sweeteners. If you have any questions about any of the other sweeteners or sugars that are out there and why we shouldn't be using some of them, then please ask me whatever questions you have and we'll go from there. Okay, thanks guys. Hope you have a great day.